our home. We started to go down that path. Mr. Omatick was even going to use the survey company. He had the proposal that the township had recommended. And then after contacting the DEP, I forget your township engineer, they had recommended we call DEP prior to getting the survey to subdivide. I've spoken to the DEP officer. They indicated if Mr. Omatick has to subdivide the property.
Okay, I'm going to object to the extent this is hearsay. And I need to place another objection on the record because Mr. Omatick is the applicant and he can testify here today as to the facts applicable to him. She's unable to testify for him, which is what I'm hearing.
I spoke to DEP. Mr. Omatick never talked to the township engineer, and how this all started, how I got involved. Mr. Omatick, with his work schedule, was unable to deal with some of the issues, and he had gotten approval, or he had granted approval to the township with the township manager and Liz for me to be calling the engineer, for me to be getting things in place for him. So I'm not speaking, Mr. Omatick never talked to DEP. I spoke to DEP directly. And so...
DEP conversations are hearsay.
Okay, well...
And inadmissible, even if...
Okay, all right, that's fine. It was under our understanding, the reason why Mr. Omatick did not proceed with the subdivision was he was told, or under the understanding, if he had submitted that to DEP, DEP would not allow the grandfathering for his sewage. Right now, where the mobile homes are and his home, where they're all located, everybody has their own septic system. He's grandfathered with the DEP, which is totally different than the township zoning and nonconformance. DEP, he would be ungrandfathered, meaning he would then have to go through sewage planning, and there would have to be a septic, a whole treatment facility to serve the 5 remaining mobile homes and Mr. Omatick's home. So because of that, that was too cost prohibitive, and I mean, he wasn't even to put a treatment facility at the top. So therefore, this was his only option, was to try to get permission to continue his non-conformance to allow his daughter to live in her home at the bottom opposed to the top due to the hardship of the unstable soils. This relocation is a betterment to the property and surrounding neighbors, both at the top and the bottom of the property. The total area affected is an equal exchange of an overall footprint of the home. The previous location has been graded and grass planted, and Mr. Omatick, if granted the variance, plans to place shingles, a new roof, and a covered porch, as the pictures in your packet illustrate. Mr. Omatick has no intention of relocating any of the other mobile homes and feels there is no adverse impact on his request. And Mr. Vogt is also going to speak because he's also been working with Mr. Omatick through this process. Is there any questions that the board would have of me?
Okay, I just have to say this for the record one more time. Unless there is a reason, if he's a representative or if he's unable to speak, you can't have somebody else presenting the case on behalf of the applicant. So I just want to make that very clear on the record. I'd like to ask questions of Mr. Omatick.
You can. Well, because I was going to say, I can give this. Mr. Omatick helped me write this. Mr. Omatick's issue was just to stand here and present it. He can, I mean, we worked on this. He has a copy of this. So it's not like
Okay, so I'll be asking him questions.
Oh, yes, you can. But I may help answer because I've been working. Well, we ask him questions on something that I
don't know. Yeah, you can ask questions. Some things I may not know because she's been doing all the work for me.
Well, you can answer.
Okay, so is this the time then for me to ask questions, or are you presenting?
Well, why don't you let Mr. Vogt?
Where's that first?
Yeah.
You can ask questions.
What's his name first?
Well, I'm sorry, who is Mr. Is it Bo?
He's also a friend. He's been working on this together with Mr. Omatick.
Good evening. Terry Bove, 2543 Washington Road, Pittsburgh, PA 15241. I'm here as a friend. I'm here as an agent for Mr. Omatick. And and I'm here to ask Mr. Omatick some specific questions. You will be able to get on the record his voice, his response.
Good evening, my name is Jeffrey Omatick. I live at 349 Grange Road, Donald, PA. First off, like I said, thanks for being here this evening. Like I said, my daughter listens to me the other thing. I do whatever, I try to do everything I can for her. I bought her this place not for off the bank.
We need a microphone because I can't hear him.
I bought this place because they went up to the bank and they repossessed it, so I bought it for her. And she was there maybe a year and the landslide came. It was on TV, it was in the paper. So I didn't have to be moved. It was expensive to get moved. I didn't know if they could save it moving it. I got the permit to get it moved. I used a company that township wanted certified. They moved it, there was damage, but I managed to rebuild it. So it's been over a year to rebuild it. So I just try to help my daughter out. She needs to build it. I'm 61 years old. I do what I can for it. The farm's going to be hers someday. I don't want to subdivide because it's not going to hurt, but I should subdivide.
Mr. Omatick, would you tell the board about your property, sir? You have 44 acres, correct?
Yes.
I understand that part of it is zoned R4 and part of it is zoned R1,
Dad.
correct?
Yes.
How many structures are on the R4 part of this?
Right now there's 5 left.
On the R4 section of the property?
R4 would be the total.
No, I don't know where the line is. I mean, if you could show us where on the map the
know
line
your
would be,
property.
I don't think, when we started working on this, I don't think Mr. Matic or we were aware there was a difference of R1 and R4 on his property. I think Liz, when you started working, Liz was the one that couldn't help. So his home is in the middle. The trailer
Is this a trailer court?
Yes.
It is a trailer court.
There's an R4 portion of his property that is zoned
Fine,
for
yeah,
a
fine.
mobile home.
Okay, it's a mobile home park on the R4 section. We're interested in the R1 section, correct? That's what we're here tonight about. Okay, the R1 section is where Mr. Omatick has his mobile home,
My house and
your house. How many buildings are in the R1 section of the property, sir?
There's a barn, a gym building, and my house.
Okay, now this property is located on a steep hillside, correct?
The
And you have a
top-
landslide there.
The top of the hill is the landslide, yes. I lost 3 trailers to the landslide. We've got to move out.
That's the R4 property.
Your floor property.
The trailer's lost from the R4
Yes.
section of the property.
Not his house, not the barn, and not the daughter's house.
The daughter's house was on the landslide.
The previous house, but you're attempting to relocate her now.
Yes, it's slid down over the hill, but they moved it.
In essence, you're attempting to relocate her from the R4 to the R1.
Correct, sir.
You already have a primary residence on all of them, correct? His house is already on R1, correct? And that's the issue before the board tonight, correct? Section 1202 does not permit more than one primary residence on one lot, correct?
So I did not know there was a difference in R1 and R4.
Because he has a non-conformance on his parcel. So he wasn't aware, when we started working with this, he wasn't aware there was a difference. Because his non-conformance is on the whole parcel of property. I don't think the
I only have
non-conformance.
one tax ID number.
So So what makes them non-conforming?
And you know what, I just want to go on record and state a little bit, we were told he really didn't need to have an attorney here tonight, so that was why we thought it was okay. Mr. Omatick did seek out the advice of an attorney, and we were under the understanding this was informal enough that he didn't need an attorney to attend tonight. I'm just telling you, that's why
That's correct.
we're all here.
You
We
don't-
weren't expecting, like,
No,
that.
you're right, you don't need an attorney to appear before the zoning hearing board, but you also can't stand in a representative capacity before the zoning hearing board. So Mr. Omatick can absolutely come here and testify to facts, you can testify to facts that you know, but you can't stand here and represent him or direct him questions. And there is no nonconformity, but I'll get to that when it's my turn.
I have a question. The mobile home that you moved was in the slide area.
Yes,
Okay. Now, back in August 8th of 2019, you applied for a construction permit saying to converting a mobile home into a storage area.
well, I didn't know.
At what point did that change from a storage area to a residence?
Well, first of all, I didn't know it would be able to save enough to be livable again. And then, my dad passed away, my daughter was going to get that house, that didn't work out. And, he's still living with me at this present time. He's 26. I decided to turn this into a living quarters.
So you're saying your daughter lived in one of the houses that was
Living
on top of the hill.
I bought it for
It
her.
was ruined by the landslide.
Right next
It's
to it.
the very same one that got moved. It's the same mobile home. That's why I said it was the same footprint. It's the very same mobile home from the top that he put on the bottom. And he wasn't sure when he was going through all the process of moving that it was going to be, you know, it was something that he was going to be able to save. Now, he got it down there and they anchored it down, they didn't go through the whole process and have it anchored. You start working in there, there wasn't as much devastation inside, and they start restoring it back for her to be able to move back into her home.
Okay, then in, let's see, August of 18 too, you applied for a 10-acre permit exemption document. That was for the sewage.
That's for the sewage, but the Washington County sewage, and the reason why I'm doing that, I do work for the sanitary authority and I do work in that area. And Jeff had asked me, because his work schedule, he doesn't have the time to go down to do that. I have a little bit more flexibility, so yes.
So there's a functioning sewage system there.
Yes, there's a
Who installed that? Who approved it? Who inspected it?
Washington County Sewage Council. Mr. Omatick installed it. He is a sewer contractor. He works for sewer contracting. He installed it and followed all the guidelines for the Washington County Sewage Council.
Is it a sand mound? It's
Usually,
conventional. Just how many septic tanks?
2.
And you have a leach field.
You got a few of them.
And nobody inspected it.